on 1499.3 KLIN.
And you're listening to the 402 Business Insider. I'm Travis Filan with Transformation Marketing. Gary Tharnish with Home Design Real Estate Group. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Been planting some plants this morning, sitting on the porch, drinking some coffee, just enjoying the day.
You make me feel like a schlub. I like every time you go, I was up early, I was working. You're like, I was kind of sitting on the sofa and not doing.
I would have been playing the drums for a while, but it's probably just a little too early for that.
So you do more before 9 a.m. than the Army does.
You know, I do. I love the morning time. It's my ham and jam. I love it.
Well, this first segment's brought to us by Complete Family Dermatology, Sartor Heyman Jewelers, and a brand new sponsor, Wyuka Cemetery.
Nice.
Have you been down there? They kind of redid everything. They got that new pond. It's really cool.
It is.
It's a neat
You
place.
know, this is going to sound funny, but I grew up in Wyuka Cemetery. So I grew up in that area. And as kids would go over there, we would always ice skate on that pond every winter.
Oh, wow.
It was in the 60s and 70s when they were warning the coming ice age. We switched to global warming now, but the ice age.
That was global cooling.
So,
back then.
and so we'd play Frisbee there. I mean, we hung out. And, you know, I have this great book. And like 120 years ago, that's where all the events happened in Lincoln. Was at the cemetery. You had picnics there, family events. So, yeah.
Very good.
It's cool.
Well, welcome to the show. I appreciate them being a sponsor. So our guest today is Sherri Tafoya, Custom Blinds and Design. How are you?
Good. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
I will not hang out at the cemetery. So
Okay. That's all right. I don't anymore either.
Not my pick.
That'd be a weird, that'd be kind of odd, but
I prefer above ground.
yeah.
I'll pick your home business, your real estate business, hands down.
And Sherri and I actually go back further than either of us would care to admit, but we were actually in radio together back in the late 90s.
Wait,
so
what?
Yeah.
You were in radio? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Oh, I got so many stories. I was a real estate broker. If you really want me to go back.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stories.
Perfect.
Stories.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we worked at a classic rock station in town, and
We did.
Nice.
Yep.
that was crazy.
Yep.
So let's start about, just give us kind of that 30,000 foot view about custom blinds and design.
Yeah, sure. I'll start back to, I call it the widget. Like, I love business. We love business. That's why we're here.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Sure.
Custom blinds is the widget, but let me just back up a little bit, like forward to go back.
Yeah.
I wanted to be an interior designer. And
Oh, no.
my best friend, Patty Flynn from Fremont, she was so talented. She could take a undershirt and just make it wonderful. And I was like, oh, I don't have her talent. Like, I'm not going to do that. And she went on then she went into that, but I think she went on to be a teacher. So you learn that, as anybody who's listening, thinking that you set your bar against somebody else, don't do that.
Yeah.
Well, then I ended up I got my real estate license, broker's license, sold, ended up moving every 3 years. When I moved, I had a kid. So we have I have 4 boys that are 30 and up.
That's
so
a lot
yeah,
of
I was like,
work.
no more moving.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Pick a place.
yeah. So I landed on radio, and Travis and I were talking about that a little bit earlier, just in a small market. Like, what you can do is sell furniture or radio, but to try to go back into real estate when you're moving is just mobile. And with kids, it's
Right.
nights and weekends. So did the radio sales thing, and ended up in Lincoln, and ended up working with Travis in a group in the radio for 4 or 5 years, and just lost my passion. Honestly, I love people and sales. I'm a galvanizer, and I just literally I was turning 40. I didn't want to get up in them. Like, I just lost the focus. And so prayed about a business I can do from home. And there's funny stories to go with that, but.
And it was kind of a tough time in business, because David and I were talking about it earlier. Late 90s, they kind of deregulated radio. And so everybody was buying everybody else up. And we worked I was just there from 98 to 2000. We worked for 8 different radio groups in 2 years.
I mean, it was selling.
It was they'd come in and they'd give the big speech, and hey, we're C-Star and we're this and we're that. And literally the next week they'd be like, yeah, all those people are fired. We're now Capstar or Central Star or what. I mean, it was nuts.
That's crazy.
It was nuts. And it was easy to lose your passion back
it was just, and small market is I love relating to people. So I'd like to go in and I would tell you this day, part of my success in business is the experience I learned on calling on clients. I'd go to Joe Scar and Jim Steele and say, hey, I have this package for Teo, like I have this promo for Teo Haas, and it was Teo Haas focused, not not programming.
Right.
And they just roll their eyes. But I was more related to like, what does a consumer want? Or I'd go to a restaurant and they're showing me this and that. And, they're selling $3.75 hamburgers at the time. They're not that anymore. And I'm like, you haven't even made a dime and you're already looking at a radio schedule. And, what's the return on investment for that? And I could about tell you, you learn from experience, right? I could about tell you in 30 seconds who was going to make it or not. You just, you do that interview. It's like on the job training, you do that interview. Yeah. So knowing that in the back of my head, knowing like, hey, if I want to, and I love sales, I love being an entrepreneur, but I also knew you better have, don't go into debt. First of all, that's my first thing. Don't go get a big loan and then you have to pay it off. So I did what I prayed about a business to do from home. Dog walking, no. Babysitting for sure not. Window cleaning, I'd streak a window. So really, shadings came up, and so Quinn and I, like overnight, I made up business cards, door hangers, and just started hanging them on doors. And kept my full-time job at the station.
That was while you were still at the station.
Yeah, it's February of 2000. Just said, hey, gonna give it a shot. I'll hope I can quit my full-time job in a year. That was my goal. Got to have a goal. A dream is a goal with a deadline, and so then. One morning and I had friends. Jan Hale was my first client.
Oh, was she really?
Pam Feck. I have Julie I have all these special friends. Julie Wolf, they bought from the radio group. Those are great memories for me that I still, with 25 years now, I'm reliving that and just thanking my people for that. Cause that's how you get where you are, right? Yeah. You don't know. I didn't go into this saying, I want this big business model. I want to declare $500 a week to stay home with my kids. I just want, and so that was the motivator behind it. So April, one morning, I've got this lead and that lead and got my list. And I go to my husband and say, look, look, this is working. And he goes, you're going to have to prove to me this business is going to work. He's going to hate it that I tell this because I just don't believe anybody would pay more than $1 or, $10 for a blind. Now it's a golf club driver. That's different.
Yeah, that's right.
And I was mad and motivated. And so I just took that challenge on, and Good Friday of 2000, I went to Julie Gotti and said, hey, I want to talk to you. She goes, Sherri, I saw a spring in your step and I just thought it was
here you go.
This, but she couldn't have been more excited. Will you stay till Cinco de Mayo's over? And I said, yeah.
Sure.
And then the next day, like the vinyl's on my custom blinds for less is how I started. That's how I started. My kids grew up with it. I mean, we went to funerals, weddings, school, and those boys never were embarrassed by the sign. I look back to that and I'm like, it touches me that they emptied the trash. We grew up on the business, right? Of just one day at a time. So now I give my notice, you know what? Don't look back, because if this doesn't work, I gotta go get a real job.
Yeah.
Therein lies the definition of entrepreneurship, though, right? You have to be ready to take the risk, and you have to have the gumption. You have to get out there and you have to go. Door to door is not easy for anything. And, but you had a product that people need. It's a wonderful product. I sold one of the traction lofts downtown, and the two owners, he was on one side, she was on the other, and we had the little remote control for the shades, and we put it to daylight. It's kind of, and they're coming up and we're like, oh, hallelujah. It was so cool to see it go up. But it's going to sound stereotypical, but truly, when I'm selling homes and there's no shades, and the wife in most cases will be like, oh, we're going to have to get shades, and the husband's like, well, not right away. I'm like, okay, good luck with that one.
Right.
The neighbors will love it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, well, good for you.
I'll tell you, there's nothing lonelier feeling than when you actually put in your notice and you start putting, because you just jumped out of the plane and you ain't got no parachute. Yeah. So you're hoping for a soft landing. And when I left, it was in late 2007, which was a brilliant time to quit a 6-figure salary job. Because something happened in 2008. What was it? Maybe the whole damn thing collapsed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it was tough.
Yeah.
Sure.
It was tough. And there's no coming back. Nobody was buying radio. There was not that I tried, but that's tough.
I was there too. Like the fact that I made it through, it's a luxury. We have a luxury product. You don't need, I challenge you don't need window shadings. You don't need mine. You have to want my Mercedes type, right?
Right.
And so that was a year that I could have a whole nother story on that we could visit about, because
Sure.
I'm focusing today as an entrepreneurial look. We can talk about this shadings company anytime, but I really care about people and business and making it right. And it's, it's that fine line of what's your widget? How's it going to work? Are you passionate about it?
Mhm.
And then everybody's different. You got to have money access. At the same time, you have to have this pressure point, because I don't want to work to pay my loan. Frankly,
Right.
I don't agree with student loans. I don't agree with it. I think there's creative ways to go, but I literally would sell a shade, pay the bill. And that's how I did it. So,
Right. It's the right way to do it.
had I not, I likely would have not, I just frankly likely wouldn't have made it. And I was so motivated and excited about being an entrepreneur and loving my product.
Sherri, you're at my stage in life, the season I'm at now, I really start thinking a lot about legacy. So I love working with the young realtors that are coming in, some of them just right out of high school even,
Yeah.
and working with them and just knowing that I can share what I went through. This is what I would suggest you don't do. This is what I would suggest you do. Debt is a huge one of them. You look at a company like Creek Carrier, they pay cash for everything. I mean, that's a huge company, but that's how they started.
Yep.
He was like, I'm not getting into debt. I'm going to wait till I can afford this. Started small and worked up. It's just a very smart way to do it.
For many, there's people that it works otherwise, but overall, I would say statistically, it shoots them in the foot. And the other thing,
Sure.
I'll just be bold. If you sit and spend 3 months and you get this salary while you're coming up with your whole model and it's all great on paper and it looks really good, nobody cares. Like, the first thing you do is you get out and sell. Like, there's a favorite book, and it's so old, but I absolutely love it, and you would love it. And I found it on an airplane coming overseas, and God bless me there, because it's called Ready, Fire, Aim. And I am that. Like, don't spend all your time, like, get your model in place. Don't spend all your time perfect. Test it first. See that it works. The guy's name is Michael Masterson, and he has 2 books, Ready, Fire, Aim. Well, he has many, but Ready, Fire, Aim, and then Reluctant Entrepreneur, which I was. I didn't want to be an entrepreneur, but he just writes it in such a way that it just suited me perfectly. So his point is, like, he went to this one guy. He's like, yeah, we're selling some unique beer. And the guy goes, what'd you do today? Okay. He said, what'd you do today? And he goes, yeah, I went out and got a computer. He goes, setting up my desk. He goes, what'd you sell? And he goes, get out there and sell. And the next day he took a 6-pack of his beer into the bar down the street and sold a whole year's worth of beer because he sampled it. Like, that's entrepreneurship.
Right.
Honestly, you can write any business model you want. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
And I love the pay your bills immediately, because when Shannon, I helped her start our agency, and I was still working at the radio station, and with, radio, we get the bill and then we bill the client. Well, you have some float in there. I mean, you could very much wait 90 days. A lot of those clients waited 90 days to pay their bill. But boy, you can get in a lot of trouble quick if you're using that in your business, you're using that to survive, whatever it is. You could very quickly be underwater and out of business because you're not paying your bills quickly. Get that money out. I know in time, there are a lot of business owners out there that are probably disagreeing with me because they can pay down debt and take their time and save a little bit of interest. But especially when you're a brand new business, it can go very quickly and you can find yourself on very thin ice. So I love that, because it is absolutely crucial that you do that. And we're back on the 402 Business Insider, talking with Sherri Tafoya at Custom Blinds and Design. This segment is brought to us by James Arthur Vineyards and Western National Bank. I can't say enough great things about these guys. They're so fantastic. They're helping me. We just bought another house, and so we're kind of going through all the progressions of it, and they're just great guys. Go talk to them. It's so important to have a good relationship with a bank, especially if you're getting ready to go into business. And speaking of business, so one of the businesses we have is we own real estate. We fix up houses and we turn them into rentals. And so if there's somebody out there who is thinking about getting into that, or this is a good lesson in business in general, is make sure you build things correctly. Like when we get a house, we strip it down to the studs. right? We put in all new appliances, we put in new insulation, we put in new roof, everything, because you don't want to go back and start fixing problems because you went cheap. And so when I'm preparing for this show, because I called Sherri, and thank you for coming in last minute, by the way, because our guest had to move. And so I started going through and I'm like, I have to put blinds in all these rentals.
He didn't tell me that yet.
No, I didn't. and I went, you know what? I buy good products because we build houses for like generational ownership. It's going to be my kids someday, grandkids. And the one thing I went through my sheet, because we're pretty meticulous, somebody moves out, you have to replace, you got to paint. Sometimes there's a door that needs fixed, something. The one thing that I always cheaped out on was blinds. You go down to the big box store and you buy, I think they're $40, $50. And so I was going through my sheet. Every time somebody moves out, I replace 2 to 3 blinds. And this is like, and renters, they can be hard on property, but 2 to 3 times, or 2 to 3 windows every time somebody moves out, I replace. And I'm like, Travis, take your own advice. So do you guys have products that are like durable?
I have a great story for you, and you can ask Rick Kruger to this day. In 2000, I started the business, and so I'm like working for every like prayerful about everything. And I somehow got the lead that they're building 4 units over at 14th and Yankee Hill. It's the first, or Pine Lake. It's the first between that first grouping, Chanticleer, and anyway. Somehow I got the lead. So there's 4 buildings. I'm brand new in business, right? And so I'm measuring all these, and I gave him a quote. And Rhonda worked for him at the time. She called me. She goes, Sherri, just want you to know, you got the bid. You got the quote. I was like, what? And so there's Seventh-day Adventists. We installed on Sundays. I had my installer come. All my kids do this, right? 25 years ago, we put in shades for them, faux wood blinds, and verticals, and lifetime service guarantee for this. And I bet you if you call him today and ask him how many of our shades are in those 4 units, I'll bet you most of them are.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the second phase came. They're not. So yeah, you pay a little bit more, but if somebody breaks a slat or 2, we can repair the slat. We can fix the string. We can fix the cord. If they break a bunch or a dog bites into there's a law of averages, right? Or return. But we will replace a vein in a product. And at that time, I did free service for a long time. And I don't regret that, but that was part of what's your tool?
Sure.
What's your stick? Well, free lifetime service. I still have clients from 25 years ago that come in, and I will take care of their lifetime service, and they still have them. They need to be,
Wow.
25 years. We outlast Windows. So yes, Travis, to your answer, if they need a tweak or a fix on those, apartment rentals, come on, they have to be one of the hardest use, right?
Oh yeah.
And now the government said we can't have strings. So now you're having to invest a little bit differently. And all those cordless are not going to be even as repairable by the cheapos that you're going to go buy. That's going to be worse.
Oh,
so you do want to talk to us. And yes, you're right. It is an investment, but I like the fact that you said it's generational. And like I said, go ask Rick Kruger, and he'll tell you they last.
So when you had your open house on South 56 there, the gentleman that does your installation, amazing.
Yes.
His level of knowledge, his care for the client, everything that he talked about and how he works, I was like, man, if I'm putting blinds in the house, he's the go-to. Well, your whole staff all the way around, but that's the person that's going to come and install them. And boy, he knows that business.
And that's another blessing that we would own is our sales team are great. But here's the thing. The last piece of people they see are our installers. And unfortunately that category might just generally not be more social, and they might just, in another capacity of, if it's appliance or whatever type of repair, they come in and they don't speak and they do the job and they leave. And our guys, they forget who the salesperson is, and they're all about our team is just amazing. And we run a commercial for Justin, and he says, yep, I just love my job. And, we, and this is true. We take our shoes off at the door when it's safe. We clean up after ourselves always. There's only your 98% of the time, all you have is your shades. But he goes, yeah, by the time we're done, they're asking to play cards on Friday night. Yeah. That's the commercial. That's cool. And guess what? You run radio well, and it works amazingly. And we have people coming in saying, can I get Justin? I'm serious. That's so they forget who the sales rep is, but they don't forget our installers. They're just amazing guys.
And that's one of the things that you have to do, is that customer service is so crucial. And if you don't have it, now you're kind of, you're down to competing on price, and you don't want to compete on price.
And you never will. I'm not going to do milk wars, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to set your market, and you have to set your client, and you can't be all things to all people.
Yep.
And we learn that sometimes the hard way.
But I think the search for quality is coming back big time, right?
People
There
are learning.
so many things that are disposable anymore. I was in a new build the other day talking with an appliance company that said, yeah, really appliances now are 3, maybe 5 years. And I'm like,
Disposable.
Yeah.
They are.
really? Because my grandfather's refrigerator is still operating great, made out of cast iron. It's just sad. But anyway, I think people are really looking for that.
I just had a stove literally day before yesterday. Had a maintenance guy come down and look at the stove in my house, and to repair it was $650. Same stove, brand new, is $899. And you go, well, geez.
Yeah, they're disposable.
Yeah. And how I feel sick having to do it. This segment is brought to us by Red Rhino Roofing, who's getting ready to put a new roof on the house that I bought. Yeah, take the shock look off your face. It's the house I bought is terrible, Gary. Just terrible. And
Some I won't even go into practically.
And also the UPS store, who did our fatheads last week, which is cool. I actually stuck one in the window here for our business logo. So, yeah, if you guys are looking for small business, you need a little help, business cards, things like that, just give us a... Oh, I know. It's
amazing.
A radio studio. The windows are always curved, and they're, it's a sound thing. Anyway, we're talking with Sherri Tafoya from Custom Blinds and Design. One thing I wanted to talk to you about is competing with big box stores, because everybody from the grocery store type people sell blinds, and the hardware stores sell blinds, and I change those pieces of crap every year. But how do you compete with those people? Because they have price. You don't want to compete on price.
It's a great question. Appreciate that. And it's a big question a lot of people have, and we don't. I'm just saying we're our model. Again, I'm going to focus back to being an entrepreneur and what your model and what your niche and who's your audience. You got to know who you're reaching.
Right.
And so I say this carefully, that if I have a client call me, and there's people that they work so hard for their money. Everything is like, they work really hard for it. And so if they come to me, I had a young lady in Omaha, and she spent $2,000 for a house full of shades. Okay. That's a conservative number, but it's also a house full of shades. And she picked a beaded chain, it's called. And so she checked it all, went home, and then she came back after we installed it, and she's a mess because her husband doesn't like them. He wonders about of course, he wasn't in on the process. All of us who are in sales know how this goes down, right? So now here she is, and I'm saying to my team member, I'm like, look, her husband's mad. He didn't see the value. He probably didn't want him in the first place. We probably shouldn't have, if we'd asked the right questions, or if that client probably knew that there was going to be this issue coming down the road. But now we're in the middle of this, like, hey, my husband hates it. I don't want a problem with my husband. Now you're going to have to spend more, because we have this great program. And I'm serious here. Like, we offer, if you don't like your shadings, we will replace them at $100 a shade, and we'll replace them for what you do want, either for the same price point or what the difference is. And who does that? Right. Well, in her case, it's going to cost her more. Right. So what I'm getting at is, that's not our customer. And we're kind of doing a disservice to her, because that's not our customer. If we'd have asked a few more questions, or if she would have been transparent, because the hard-earned client, that client might spend $2,000, and they're looking every little thing. I paid good money for this, and they want perfection.
Sure.
They're not perfect. Then we got a client who spends exponentially more. They don't even look, they love them. They go, because we had our proper client, right? So the box stores they do us a favor, right? Because they're not our client. A DIYer is not our client. If you want to come in and buy your shade and install it yourself, first of all, it doesn't pay enough. We don't charge enough for install for you to, most people will spend 2 days installing a house full of blinds, and we're in and out in 3 hours. Perfect. And the 2-day job is usually something's wrong, right? You've all been there. So in answer to your question, we just keep our niche, focus on our niche, focus on who we're looking for, and we don't go there, right? And so when a client comes in, and it's pretty clear quickly that you want to, it's not a Mont Blanc pen, but do you want to what Penrite, what are you looking for? If you're in an apartment, you don't want our product. If you're in a rental, if you have rentals investments, I think you want us because we're going to have your back for years because we have the right product. So us asking the right, there's my radio background of interviewing when you go out and call on somebody, you interview the business and you find out about them. Same with the homeowner. Like, what are your needs? What do you have? What do you need? And then if our pricing is too high, well, we have variables in that, but we're not a $100 a window company.
Right. And that is one important lesson for business owners is you have to know what your product is and what your market is and keep those blinders on, because it's so easy sometimes to go, wow, they're selling shades for $75. I'll bet you I could compete in this market. And before you know it, you've watered down what you do and trying to juggle all these products and all these, and these are totally different client types.
And you lost money because for what we do, we can't do our niche of service with the quality that we want to do and then come back. We lost money. And then you as a business, you don't get to stay in business because you lost money. So it's that fine line of, I have a saying, take care of your team first. Because if I take care of you and you're my first client, then my team will take care of my client. That's their first client. Right. And then the company is just taken care of. Like when you do it in the right order, but if you go company first and I need this, you got to have your metrics and you've got to watch your numbers. Like you got to watch your numbers. Profitability. We have 4 cores of courtesy, excellence, profitability. We have to have excellence, but we have to have profitability because I have 19 full-time team members that I have to take care of. And they need to know that we're going to stay in business.
Sure.
So
exactly. You know, when I would get that at the flower shop all the time, like, hey, do you have packages for weddings? I'm like, yeah, no, I don't have a package. Everyone's unique. And this is what it is. Look, I after a while, I just went right to the point. I go, look, there's 3 things you're probably looking for: quality, price, and service. But in reality, you get 2 of those. Where are you at?
Yeah.
Do you want quality and service? Then the price doesn't matter. You're going to get what you want. You know, you kind of feel that out. And it's the same in real estate. Like if I have clients now, at first, it's like, I'll take anything anybody I can get, right now. It's like, if you're not willing to come into my office or have me come to your home and do a buyer's or seller's consultation, where we're going to talk about the process, because I control the process.
Right.
You control every decision. It's when you let those clients come in and change your process or jump ahead or something that you end up in a situation where possibly you could have blinds in the house. When you said that right away, I went, oh gosh, exactly. I'll have people that'll say, well, my wife's always really busy and she really doesn't care. So I can come in and I go, I don't care how busy your wife is. If she's not happy in the house, you're just going to have a very, very sad future.
Yes.
So when the 2 of you are available. There's really all those things you got to cover, but I was in that same boat where it was like, people can get flowers done. Where can't you buy flowers? Right. And it's the same in real estate. Who doesn't know 8 realtors?
Right.
And then in your case, you take a bride. We're not naming any brides, but you take a bride who their mom and their whole life is about this dream. And they want this imagination for here's what I also say. If you spend, I'm going to use $800. I'm going to use $1,000 I'm going to use $800 for your flowers, which is, we know that's not even reasonable, but for a wedding, I have a budget of $800, but I'm agreed to spend $1,000. I just went $200 over my budget, but guess what? If it's at your location, you're set up to fail because you can go over the top and it still isn't going to meet her bar of the extra 200. Yeah. It's a simple example. Go, look, it's not our client. So then nobody won. You didn't win. She didn't win. They didn't win. Nobody won. You lost money. They are not. Like,
that's a good point.
Don't do it. And then you spend more time and labor and potentially discounting the product. That's where I just say we've learned in 25 years, not a good answer. But then that comes down to asking the right questions, not being ashamed of what we are. Like, we aren't this for all people. Sure. And nor would we be able to be in business for 25 years if we were.
Correct.
Yeah.
So true.
And there are some people that you just can't make happy no matter what. And that's okay. You just need to recognize those people and then not do business with them or move them into a direction where you go, maybe this is where you should go because I can't make you happy.
Yeah. Well, you see the same in marketing, I'm sure. I mean, I have, friends that have businesses, and they're like, well, you always advertise on the radio. Did that really pay off? People don't listen to the radio anymore. I go, what'd you do on the way here? I said, oh, well, I was listening to the football game on KLIN. Oh,
yeah.
On a radio? Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
really? And I would say, and they're like, well, we're going to give it a try. I'm going to put 10,000 into radio in the next 3 months and see how it works. I'm like, save your money.
Yeah.
Like,
Doesn't
save
work
your
that
money,
way.
put 10,000 in for the year or whatever it might be, but it's the same type of thing. You have to set expectations with people. And we, when we got to the point where we're like, we're not for everybody. And I'm that way now in real estate too, where I'm not for everyone. I just know I'm not for everyone. And 95% of a real estate transaction is personality. The other 5% is you better know everything about it as much as you can, or be willing to say, no, I don't know, I'll find out. But that relationship is huge.
It's a big 5 and it's a big 95, frankly. Right?
Exactly.
It's not either or, it's all of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. If someone comes into my home to plan blinds with me and they don't talk to me about, how do you live? When do you get up in the morning? Do you like having coffee out on your patio? If they don't have any of those questions, I'm not, if they walk in and go, well, let's measure your windows and you want ones you can kind of see through or darkness or.
Yeah. Is there a porch light or a street light that is keeping you up at night? Yeah. I got to know these things.
Because for Gary and I, a woman's home is her haven. And I mean, I say that all the time. And so we got to relate to them where they're at. And that's my other issue sometimes, Gary, is if you're going to spend X, spend Y. Because if you spent $800, if you just spent 20% more, you're going to get what you want. Because why spend $800 and look at them and go, oh, I wish I'd have got. And most of us do. We have buyer's remorse. I wish I'd have got that. And fortunately, we have a system that allows that. But it still increases your spend by 10 or 15% because you got to replace what you didn't get. Right. But it's just smarter to be smart. Right. And
a lot of salespeople and what we do miss the storytelling part.
Yep.
And once you have those stories where it's like, I'll give you a situation where, and then it's like, oh, okay, I get that. Why do I not want you to kind of fib on your disclosure? Okay. Because you live next to John and Mary forever and they used to scoop water out of your basement.
Yeah.
So no, you're going to live.
No secrets.
Yeah. That kind of a thing. I mean, having that is so important.
We'd say transparency, and transparency starts with your team. Like if you're not transparent at the top, and I call us bottom up. Like we're not top down, we're bottom up is how I see our business.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not transparent, why would you expect your team to be transparent? And it's hard to battle out of the transaction. If you want to be transactional, I don't love that model. I think that's a tiring model, but it's also hard to establish getting out of that.
Yeah, that churn and burn, that'll wear you out quick.
Well, and information is powerful. I remember in 95, a lady that owned a different radio station in town, I hired her to work for me because she was wealthy, quite frankly. And so when people called, it was nothing for her to sell this because that's what she would buy, right? I mean, that was her wallet. But what I really loved about her too is that I came out of the office one day and I'm like, all right, the past 3 months we've been having all these mistakes. I don't know what's going on, but everybody needs to focus on rah, 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 rah. It's totally not myself because usually I'm not like that. And she comes right across the room in front of everybody and grabs me by the ear and takes me in my office and she goes, you're the problem. And so I hired a gal who's no longer here. She's retired now, Tam Mahaffey, who came in and spent well over a year with me. And it just changed my life, changed me personally, huge, but especially in the business. And she's like sharing everything with your teammate. The person that comes in and washes the buckets and delivers the flowers needs to make sure if he's ringing the doorbell, he or she, and they open the door and it's not what they want, that they can make it right. All the way down to the, now it's like, oh, I have to tell so-and-so and so, and a manager will call you, an owner, it was when we really started sharing all the information and the numbers and like, this is where we're going and where we're headed. It's huge.
Yep.
And you're fantastic at that, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Because I know people that work with you are super happy because I know Peg.
Oh, yeah.
And I trust anything she says.
Peg, she's a whole nother level of God bless me, because why? She could be president of the United States, I swear. And she somehow, some way, and the story of how I met her is also hilarious, but I persistently pursue people and then I don't leave it up. And my husband will say over different circumstances, I didn't get that one. I didn't. And I'm right spot. I'm just blessed. I'm right spot on. So it's great. Yeah.
So can you tell us how you met Peg, or is that, that a 2-hour show?
So in 2015, I'm moving from my home to a new home.
Okay.
Sold my house. All that to go down. My mom's birthday is July 17th. And I said, and it's her 80th. And I said, I closed on the house the 1st. I'm going to rent for 30 days from the buyer. Cause you want your money. I mean, in fairness, like, and we're not building until December, but the buyer was smart. He's like, we want your house. You can live in here till but let's go to August 1. So I got to move, but I can't start moving until July 17th. I'm taking my mom and my uncle to Alaska, August 1. Here's that tight window. I go to Patty Marmee with Leadership Resources, and they just had moved into a temporary facility. And I walk in, I'm like, first of all, I didn't know you moved, but Jess got me here. And I'm like, how did this happen? Because I'm going to be moving, right? And she goes, oh, some person named Peg came in.
There you go.
And it was
get stuff done.
Boyd Ober, next door to Peg. Peg's in a transition because she worked with the Skyboxes for years and knows everybody.
Yep.
I call Peg thinking, I don't know her. I think she's a moving specialist. I don't know. I call her because I got her number and I'm like, hey, this is Sherri Tafoya. And she happened to know a bit about me, but I'm not proud that I didn't. I don't know how that worked that we didn't. So I'm like, hey, we're moving. And Boyd and Patty gave me your name. She goes, and she does this. Peg, like, yeah, I'll come look. She comes pulling up in a high-end car, comes and looks at, I still didn't ask enough questions. She's like, yeah, my daughter's in college. I'll talk to her and see what she says. And she comes back and tells me, yeah, I'll move you. So literally packing every box, every nook, every cranny, raising 4 boys. And here's Peg. July 17th morning, my mom's birthday, she calls and says, hey, I just want to come over and pack a few things. Do you mind if I come over? I won't be in your way. I said, yeah, I'm pretty honestly easygoing. Yeah. Peg shows up, and the whole reason she came is because she brought me a 5-gallon bucket full of hydrangeas. Nice. So that I could make an arrangement, Gary, that was beautiful. Cool. $150 looking arrangement for my mom's birthday. That's Peg.
Yeah. Wow.
So then she goes to work for another company, but every year, Peg, being Peg, would find me and bring me hydrangeas.
I love
fresh cut hydrangeas. So I kept 2018. I'm like, hey, are you happy here? Like, how are you doing? 2019. And I say, God bless me, because had she come any earlier, I would not have been ready for that girl, because she takes ownership to a higher level. Like Julie Gotti told me about managing up. And if you don't know about managing up, anybody that wants to grow in their career should look into it. But she's like, Sherri, you manage up. I said, what? She goes, a lot of people have to be managed. You come in and say, hey, I see this, I see that. I'd like to do this. I mean, I did a newsletter at Eagle Airlines, I called it. And that's what an entrepreneur might do. Not for any attention, but you just see it, and you don't let the limit of who you're working for. You're your limit. Right. So anyway, Peg came on, and we were awarded. She got us in joining the Better Business Bureau. We've gotten a Torch Award. She's gotten us so much for who we are. I mean, we fit a culture, but she's gotten us so much credibility of just positioning in the market, because I'm not that person. So we were Best Places to Work nomineed, and we were that was Thursday night, and we put Peg on this. We asked Peg about doing the spirit part of it, and 2 days into it, 2 days ahead of it, she's got it down. Guess who won the Spirit Award? Custom Blinds and Design. Peg Slagle, Custom Blinds and Design. That's how we met Peg.
Yeah, she's amazing that way.
Wow.
And it's wise to surround yourself with people like that. So many people in business are a little bit scared to hire somebody maybe a little more knowledgeable than them, or a little more extroverted than them, or where it's important to hire the right people. She's the right people.
Oh yeah. Times 10.
Yeah.
And we joke, her tenacity goes off the charts. So she decides something, and she's just going to get it done.
Yeah. Finding people that are better than you is one of the keys of business, and empowering them, giving them the freedom to make decisions and move forward. Because I have people all the time go, oh man, why aren't you training this person? Well, as soon as I train somebody, they leave.
That's why.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't train them, they stay. That's worse.
There you go.
That is worse. And you have to coach them up, have to give them power. Let them make mistakes. It's okay.
Yeah.
I remember we had a gal, she was with us for 10 years, and she had made a mistake. And this was back when we were very young in business, cost us several $1,000s. Frustrating. Oh yeah, you betcha. But I gave her the authority to make decisions, and she made a mistake. And I mean, she is welling up. She was crying. And I said, well, what did you learn? And she told me what she learned. She told me how it all went wrong. And I said, well, what did you change? What are you going to change going forward? And she told me, and she goes, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to fix it. And I said, okay, last thing.
Yeah.
Give me a hug. Literally, I gave her a hug.
Yeah.
And I said, you're fine. We're going to move forward. And, and we're going to keep this from happening.
My dad's second most important saying first was measure twice, cut once.
Mm.
The next one was, it's not the mistakes you make in life, it's what you do about them that's
Yep.
important.
Yep.
Welcome back on this beautiful Saturday or whatever day it is. If you're listening to a podcast,
Yeah, on the podcast.
You need to listen live on Saturdays because we're loving today. This segment is sponsored by Integrated Behavioral Health Services and the Lincoln Airport. And a plug for the airport. So many times people just check out of Omaha.
Yep.
I'm flying to California to see the grandkids next month, and we saved $150 on each ticket flying out of Lincoln. So it pays.
High
to
five.
That's right. Not to mention, you get to sleep a little
Yes.
extra.
A lot. No parking.
Parking.
Right.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
of
man.
it's great.
So
Yeah.
many
A
great
lot of a
things.
Lincoln Airport.
Yes. Thank you, Rachel and staff.
Very good. So let's talk a little bit about, when you started, you were just like I was, started in the basement, right?
Yep.
Started out of the
exactly.
house,
Yep.
and then you move into a building or, and then expanded. So let's talk about that journey
Sure.
because that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
So the model I had was it's an easy shop at home. In fact, they called me a trunk slammer. Okay. That's what the word is, if you've ever heard of that. And that's fine. I'm proud of being that, to start it that way. Again, I didn't have this great business. I'm not saying I recommend it, but I didn't have this model of where we are now. I just wanted to clear $500 so there's great things and not
Right.
great things about that. But we just exploded in growth. In my book, like my little black books I'm talking about, I just literally couldn't keep up. It was just, I had to hire somebody. And what as an again, I'm going to go back to the entrepreneur. You don't usually hire in full-time increments. It's not like, today I didn't need somebody, tomorrow I do full-time. So
Right,
that's a
40
tough
hours. Yeah.
balance. But fortunately, I brought on a part-time and then I brought on a full-time. But I will tell you, when I did that, and you've hired the right people, right seat, we doubled our business, which wasn't a huge business, but we doubled our business with that person.
Sure.
So every year also, Hunter Douglas is great about awarded trips. I joke that I work for the trips and the points.
Hey, that's okay.
Yeah.
So every year we would come back from a trip with other galleries. So we're not a franchise, we're a dealership, and we have to be approved to have the gallery format that we have. It's a great, unique thing. I think it's awesome. I wish I could have 6 for all my kids. They don't want it, but I do. So I'd come back from one of these trips and literally on a plane on a napkin, we're right now, I want a gallery. And then stand up, look, I go, yeah, we're not ready. Not this year, not this year. And finally in 2005, and there's a whole story I could go through in prayer on that, with getting us both online to take. Stan would say, why do you want to complicate your life? Right. And I'd say, I don't want to be my own source of income, because is it Michael Gerber says, if you think that you're an entrepreneur and you own a business, I'm going to say it slowly because I talk too fast, and you are your only source of income, you are not an entrepreneur. You just have a job. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Sure.
And you work for a
Definitely.
lunatic,
That's right. Yeah.
which is
Now,
yourself.
that makes a lot of
Okay.
sense,
Yes,
right,
it
Travis?
does.
Can you relate to that one?
Yes, it does.
So
We're lunapreneurs.
yeah, there you go. So I read that E-Myth Revisited. I mean, I'm a book lover. I love books. I love learning from it, and not just once, but rereading them. And I just knew in my mind, that was impression in my mind, that I need to replicate and not be my own source of income. Because if you ever did want to sell and I want to travel, I don't want that. I want the same prison I had working 8 to 5. So you need to replicate yourself, and then give yourself enough. You're not all that important. People can do this better than you, or as good as you. Like, because that's the other thing I think small business owners can't let go of. They aren't going to do it as good as me. And I'm like, well, who is? But you know what? Does that mean you're going to be stuck there? Like, what did all these gurus, I can name Zuckerberg or whoever, Bezos, they started in modest ways, but they had to spread themselves out in order to grow the way they did. And you go, well, I'll hire somebody and they'll go start something else. Well, you know what? I have had 3 people walk out my door, not in a very credible way, but I'm all for it if you're going to be credible to me.
Sure.
But that's just life. That's just part of the knocks that you go through.
Yeah.
So with that said, in 2005, convinced each other, I'll say it that way, to find a gallery. And I just kind of had to surrender that. I'm a very faith-based person in Jesus Christ. And I was saying to Stan, I want this gallery. Like, it's not happening. He goes, have you prayed about this? And I'm like, I'll pray about this. Kind of bad, kind of like the shower thing, like paying more than $1 for a blind or whatever. Well, I'm reading. Okay, I'm not in the Bible much at that time, and I say, okay, there's 31 Proverbs, and there's 31 days in the month, so I'll just start reading. I mean, I might cry. I hope not. I'm going to just start reading Proverbs. Well, you get to Proverbs 3, third day, and Proverbs 3, 5, 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. Well,
There
that
you
was
go.
my side.
Yeah.
I start bawling. I go to say, I'm like, look, you win, fine. I surrender. And he's like, okay, good. Now, and I'm like, no, I didn't surrender to you. I'm surrendering to him. And I'll just tell you, in 30 days, we had our signature for our first gallery, in
There you
Lincoln.
go.
So
oh, wow.
that was, and I didn't know what I was doing. So the funny part is, we go to this training for a gallery. And it took a few months to get it, but literally that's what happens. Like, if you just let things happen and not try to run things so hard and just give things up, it's right in front of you, but we get in our own way, right?
Yeah.
Well, and Hunter Douglas doesn't just give a gallery to anyone.
No,
I mean, that's a
no.
pretty big process,
And
correct?
to go
I mean,
right, and to go from a shop, there's steps. There's God bless steps that go. I
Sure.
could tell a lot of layers,
Yeah.
chapters, but the funny thing is, we came back from training, and there's one part-time, one full-time, and me driving back from Broomfield, and we're deciding who's going to open the door. We didn't have that. I didn't have that business. I'm just saying, I didn't have that business model.
Sure.
So we have it. Well, who's coming in besides? Because it's not like the doors unlocked and people ran in. That didn't happen. We're on the
Right.
back side of artifacts. Like,
Yeah.
we're not in a high
Your
visible location.
destination.
Yeah.
But it was just a particular day in these knocks of a small business and being on your own. And I don't know what happened, you guys, but I was the one in the showroom, and I'm ADD. I don't like sitting. I'm a doer, and I got the showroom. The girls are out, and I'm like, something happened. I went to the front, turned off the light, locked the door, went back to I just was just at my limit, right?
Yeah.
And Diane walks in and she goes, front door's locked. I said, yep. So that's transition from, shop at home, being on your own, to the business. I did love, like, being at home. The bad part of that is, at middle of the night, you can go up to your office and you just never get away from it.
Correct.
But also, I did miss it. It was a lot of transitioning, because I love my family, my boys, and that just took a level away. So there was a transition of figuring that out, for how to work that out.
Sure.
So we did that and figured it out. I didn't have some great role model. It was my own thing.
I could work from home, but I shouldn't.
Yeah. I can't.
Because it's always like, I'm just going to play the piano for a while, or drums, or how's my cat, or take care of my plants. And I mean, it's terrible. But if I go to my work, I can just totally focus in the office, which is interesting. But
Well,
get
one
the
thing you
ADHD.
said that I really want to put the underline exclamation point on for business owners out there, especially new ones, is handing work off to employees, because that is tough. Because you sit there, like you said, oh, nobody can do it as good as I can. Well, there's only so many hours in the day. And while, you did give up your 8 to 5 and you traded it in for a 4 a.m. to midnight, and at some point, something's got to give. And if you don't hand it off and trust in some employees and train them and empower them,
Right.
you're going to be working by yourself for the rest of your days. You don't want that.
Right. And they might not do it like you did, but generally speaking, if you let them and you give them the freedom and empower them, they're going to come up with a far better idea than you had.
Bingo.
But let them. But
Yeah,
let
There
'em.
you go. And you're going to learn from them. And all of a sudden, you're going to find yourself one day going, oh my gosh, that's amazing. So in my previous business, it was design, right? So kind of like an artist, almost like going, okay, take this paint. Now you paint something that looks like this. Well, everybody's going to paint it different, right? But I had one person that I could tell had all the talent and no confidence. And so a holiday came up and I said, okay, I'm going to make 3 arrangements, whatever I want. You do the same thing. And we're just going to sit them on the front counter. Well, why? And I go, as people come in, because they'll walk in, let's just see if they only choose mine or how it goes. I mean, she was flying to the back room going, 2 of mine are gone. There's only 1 of mine left, and all 3 of yours are there.
I could hug you. Yeah.
And I was like, dang, I'm gonna lose this, but I'm like, nope, it's perfect. And then you learn from them when you let them do that too. And then always, I found when I started asking employees, do you have everything you need to succeed? Great question for people, because they know you care. And also it's like, wow, I thought I was just thinking you knew that, or you had that skill, and that's important as well. Invest in your people.
And what's funny, we did, it was about a year ago, we did a show where my wife in high school worked for Gary at the flower shop.
Yeah.
And so I had put on some ruse and said the guest was running late or something. It was actually my wife and Jody and Clark, some friends of ours who also their first job was with Gary. And that was one of the things they talked about,
Gary,
was how he empowered them. They said, best job ever. And he empowered us. He let us do designs and work in the flower shop and actually do things that you wouldn't think you would be allowed to do. And they just absolutely loved it. And I think everyone, because Jody worked for you for years,
long time,
years and years. So
Sweet.
it's give them power. And sometimes, well, most of the times they're going to impress you. And sometimes they'll do it better than you can do it yourself.
Yeah.
So
it's more important than pay.
Yeah,
Letting
it
your
really
employees
is.
know that you care about them, you respect them, you want them to succeed. You're going to do what you need to do to help them succeed. Is way. I mean, the money's important, but that is way more important.
Yeah,
honestly.
absolutely. Absolutely. This segment brought to us by the Barry Law Group. I can't wait to have him in here and talk about his book. I just started reading his book, which is veteran led. And so far it's good, but I'm only, a couple pages into it. And the Lincoln Chamber of Commerce. I always ask if you're a chamber member. I know you are, because you guys were Business of the Year last year, right?
Small business.
Business of the year.
We were very blessed.
And then best place to work. Right?
Yep. Number of years in a row. So we're thankful for that.
How many years in a row?
Maybe we missed 1 year since 2016.
Wow.
Then that's a team led survey. It's calculated through, I'm really impressed with the company that does that, but it's calculated. It's not a voting thing. It's not the Lincoln Choice Awards, right? It's what it really is, and then it's goes into some computer. So when your team is the one who does that, and we celebrated Thursday night at the Haymarket Park. It was so fun, and we run the Spirit Award because of Peg, and
of course.
And so we invite everybody to invite their families. So we had, what I love is like Susan brings her adult son and his wife, and Greg brings his adult son and his girlfriend, and then Janice brings her friend. So we had 39. I brought my son and 2 grands from anyway, we just had a blast. And so there's 40 of us just celebrating together. That's what's cool. Meaningful to me. That's meaningful because it wasn't some contest. It was really your team did this. They are the ones, and they're just so happy. They're just as excited for me as and I'm like, no, this is yours. Like I'm altruistic. I think everybody loves this business, but
celebrating success is important. A lot of companies don't do that. I think I see more now than I did in the past, but celebrating success is so important. The recognition it gives the team members, everybody feeling like a team, getting to meet their extended family and who do they hang out with, and you get to know a little bit more about them. I mean, it's all about that, actually.
Yep.
So we took our real estate team, went to Italy for a week.
Oh, I wish.
Stayed in a villa.
Are you hiring?
Glenn's Villa. And I do have an assistant now that helps a lot.
You need a
starting part-time,
I'm your guy.
working into it. Right, exactly. But what we developed there has just changed so many aspects of our interpersonal relationship at work because we spent time outside of work celebrating success.
I will say we invested. Is this a good time for this?
Anytime.
We invested. So 25 years in business, and last year I have a team member who belongs to Arbor Links, and it's amazing at Arbor, and they have a 12 unit. It says 12 rooms within this beautiful space.
Sure.
And I just dreamed that I could take my team on an annual planning for something like that, and we went and toured it, and we literally, like, it was an investment. I'm not going to lie. It was an investment because we had 12 rooms reserved. We had people that wish they would have then. So we have 19 team members, but that was the number that could stay, right? Or wanted to stay at the time, or could stay. And so we actually set up in the space and just made this a more like not so sitting at desk chairs and planning our year out ahead. And we served lunch, and the problem is you got to pay for everything. You can't bring anything in, nothing.
Right.
And it's not a cheap. So we brought in lunch, then we went to dinner, and we varied it up. And then there was a volleyball game on, and maybe a football game on too. So they all communied, and they had their own space. Went back the next day, and I'm going to tell you, there's a team member that I believe, and her husband was there. I believe because he came and he saw what we do and who we are. He's like, I'm just incredible. He looks for a government, like a public utility. He's like, you do this, like, this is what you do. Like, and he's like looking at it like, why didn't we spend the night here? Like, because that person was just a step out. Right.
Yeah.
And just like, and I'm going to say that was the best investment because it solidified our team. Those are like, you can't see them necessarily. Oh, you could pay them a couple bucks more an hour, but no, This is what
Yeah.
this is what we need to do.
Well, culture is everything. It comes before client. Like you were saying, team, then client. It's very, very, very. If you don't invest in your culture, you won't recognize it, or
Right.
it won't be what you want it to be. Right?
Right.
And I remember doing the same thing in '95. I was like, man, this is going to be a big investment to have. We did the same thing. Well, not at Arbor, but we did the same
right.
idea.
Right.
And
well,
I was like,
you
man,
went to Italy. I think your expense
that
was
was
higher.
just really recent. Yeah, that's as you season,
Yeah.
those things
Yeah.
can become
Yeah.
possible. But at that point in time, it was a challenging time, and it was an investment I was really scared to make, and it paid off over and over and over again for all the future years. It was
Yep.
amazing.
And it's tough to do. I mean,
Yes.
I remember when we started out, we would do dinners and stuff, and it's kind of awkward. The boss is there, but boy, if you can just go and hang out, just hang,
Just be
just
real
be,
and still
just
get
be who you are.
what did I say? That culture eats strategy every day of the week.
Mhm.
But you have to have it. And what I might have learned the hard way is I was always, I'm going to say careful, or maybe too nice, or the word shaming might come in. I got to be careful here, but we set our core values as a team back in 2015 when I really went from no business model to the traction, which I could go a whole nother class and a whole nother session on the traction EOS program. And we had two people that brought this forward, and there's Caitlin's still with me today that said, hey, we needed this model. And they're the ones that came in and told me that we need to set a goal for the business. Well, so all of our team, and half of them are still there. We set up, and I said, I want a faith, FAIT. I like acronyms, faith, core values. And we sat there as a team, and we as a team came up with faith is family. F is family, A is agape. And then we tagged it out with, I love my job. You'll love what you do. Intellectual capital was I, because you have to have that in our business. You can't just go put a shade in the window or sell one. T is trust, and H is humbleness. And that's humbly.
Wait,
Okay,
again.
hold on.
Okay,
I'm going through
so-
my dictionary over here.
So you did
We
go to
made up a
school.
word.
So it's confidence, but you said
Humbleness, because
definition.
in the design world, you can get kind of like, I call it the pencil pocket CPA. In design, you can be snobby. People can have this impression of like, I need this, I only want this fabric. No, we have to be humble but confident. So I have to humbly show you,
I love it.
but be confident. And Justin came up with that, and he's still with me. He's one of our great installers. Well, I like, hey, Southwest can make up a word, so can we. So it's
There you go.
confidence.
I
So
like it.
we came up with that as a team, and it's to this day, that's what we follow. And at first, Stan said he kind of saw that as hokey, but he goes, man, you were right on. Like, you were just spot on. And so this last year and a half, I have said, we are focusing on our core values. Like we have it on 2 huge walls in Lincoln, and then another big wall in Omaha. That's what we stand for. And now now the thing is, I can't be ashamed. I'm not ashamed of that. Like, if I get it, if you don't, your faith is up to you. This is mine, and I'm not going to push it down your throat. We're going to show goodness, kindness, graciousness, love, patience. We're not perfect. And if you don't like that, I get it. But I tell you what, then I encourage you to go find where you like. And this is what I've been bold to now say is, I'm not going to push it down your throat, but this is what we stand for. So this is it. And
Yeah.
I've just really, that business model has just, that's where I think the culture really solidified for us in the last
Sure.
year, is being firm and confident of what you stand for instead of wishy-washy. Oh, I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings.
And just being confident, and all things that you do within business is absolutely crucial, because when we sit down, we talk with some clients. I mean, some of our clients spend millions of dollars a year in marketing, and you can't be, you have to be confident, because I know what this money will do when you put it in my hands, and the good things that it's going to do. And if you're not confident, if you don't sit there and stare somebody eye to eye and go, don't worry, this is what we do, we have got this. And if you don't have that, oh boy, they can sense it. They can feel that.
And to be confidently bold, to say what needs to be said so everyone succeeds.
Yeah.
So many times it's that backtracking thing. Like, yeah, okay. Well, in your case, it might be like, well, okay, we can do that blind. When you've already had the discussion with them to know that blind is not going to work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
but
I won't
now
sell it to
I'm
you.
letting you control the process. It's just so important. And I love that confidence. Okay.
Yeah, I do too. And don't be afraid to walk away from an opportunity, because it could be a very bad opportunity. If they're not taken, just like you said, if this isn't going to work for you, I'm not going to sell it to you because it's not going to work.
And I think it starts with a team member. Don't let the team member change your business model.
Right.
Yeah. And we're back for the last segment of the 402 Business Insider, talking with Sherri Tafoya from Custom Blinds and Design. I swear we should always be running the tape because we have the most interesting conversations off the air. But it does spark some of our things going on the air. Real quick, last segment brought to us by Lincoln Coin and Bullion. I buy a lot of silver from those guys. And so they buy it, they sell it, silver, gold, investments. So when I'm gone, Alex can go, well, you guys buy all this stuff back because I don't know why you bought it. Anyway, Lincoln Coin and Bullion, our last sponsor of the day. When we were in break, we were kind of talking about some books and we were talking about pricing. And so when it comes down to, and I know we talked about this earlier, is pricing, and don't compete on price. And have you guys ever read the book Nuts? Okay, so it's written by Herb Kelleher, and he's crazy, loving to death. Started at Southwest Airlines. David and I were talking earlier this morning, and he was competing. His idea was the Golden Triangle, which was Dallas to Houston to Austin, right? Those were his routes, and he's competing with Eastern Airlines and Piedmont and gosh, I can't even think of the other one right now. It'll come to Pan Am. And so they decided they wanted to squash this airline. So what we're going to do is we're going to outprice them because they're a big global airline. And they, at the time, I think the routes were like $19 or something like that. They dropped them down to $5. They are losing money every flight. Well, Southwest Airlines can't compete on price, because these are the only 3 routes that they have and they can't lose money. So panic time. How do we compete against somebody who's killing us on price? And their product is kind of the same, right?
Sure.
You're going from A to B and that's it.
Destination.
Right. And so somebody within the group, I think it was Herb Kelleher, said, you know what? Who is our market? We want business travelers, because business travelers, company travelers, they are not paying the bill. So they started running an ad campaign that said, with every single flight, every leg, you will get a full premium bottle of liquor. And I think it was Crown Royal or Beefeater or whatever it was. You had an option. And next thing you know, they upped their price from $20 to $30, and they didn't have an empty seat among the group. And they were the largest liquor distributor in the state of Texas for a year.
Wow. Seriously.
Yeah.
You're being serious. Yeah.
And they turned around like, all these other airlines went, oh, geez, this ain't working.
Mm-hmm.
You're selling an experience.
Yeah.
I mean, it is an experience. I want to be memorable when I'm done doing a transaction with a couple. I want to be memorable because I served them beyond what their wildest expectations would have been, right? And so that's Southwest Airlines, right? They create an experience. It's fun.
Yep.
When they're going through here's how you hook up a seatbelt, they make it fun. It's not just stagnant and whatever. You can walk in and pick your seat, all the fun things that they do, right? And so when you're selling, I don't even think of it like selling a shade. You're creating an experience in their home that's going to be comforting and wonderful, which brings me back to how I started the show when my clients were when we're down at Traction Lofts and we just hit the button and we're like, all of these shades go up and it's like daylight. You kind of feel a little bit almost like God. I hate to say that, but it was just kind of like, oh, this is really cool.
Sweet.
But it is the experience in almost everything. And that's what they did. They sold an experience, not a ticket.
And here's where it's going to get interesting, is because I was listening to the travel show right before us, and they said Southwest is going away from the pick your own seat.
Yeah.
They're going away from the cattle call, like get in line and free bags, and it's like, oh
interesting.
Man,
they're losing what made them unique. But let's watch and see. So,
it'll be curious because it's. I know they're competing in a tough market, and things have to change, and maybe they're not as profitable as they used to be. But you're going against what got you here, so that's gonna be
that holiday experience they had. What was that, a year and a half ago? Just
it was horrible.
Horrible.
Yep.
And everybody
we all got caught in it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yep.
So I was looking too. You have your 20 must reads. Mine's not on there. Maybe you haven't read Nuts, that's okay.
I've read different stories about Kelleher, and I love it because there's some other fun stories about what he gave up for some right to something. Like they did it over like an arm wrestle or something. I love his
He's
model.
a character,
Yeah.
very much a character.
Yeah. So I spoke to a women's group recently and I just said, hey, I'm just going to put in the book list, like whether they're interested or not. And I don't know, like, what do I have to say sort of thing. And so I was interesting because I put this out and I had people come up and say, I didn't get one of those.
Well, and
course.
my wife.
Did you just see what I did? So, okay, for those of you that can't, well, obviously we're a radio show, so you can kind of see a little bit of us.
Well, they can go on
He's
YouTube.
talking about your book list, and he pulls out that sheet, and I go, and did you see me over here? I'm like, where's my book list? I go, okay, I got it.
Oh, funny.
Okay, I got it, Sherri. Okay, we can go on. Let's finish the show.
Here's what's funny, because Sherri sent me this presentation she made to Wisby
At a quarter
this
to
morning,
10.
right? And Shannon, about a half hour before, she goes, Sherri did this fantastic talk at Wisby, and I kept the presentation. She went down and made copies for me.
Nice.
So it's like, yeah, how impactful is that? But some of the books, I mean, Maxwell, you can't go wrong with Maxwell.
Anything Maxwell.
Anything Maxwell. Yep. He is absolutely fantastic.
The Compound Effect, best gift for graduating high school students.
Oh, I didn't read that one.
Darren Hardy. Yep.
Oh,
yep.
I did love the Fred Factor.
Oh my gosh.
Such an easy read.
It is. But it's so basic. It's so real. It's so like, it's that managing up sort of mentality. Like, again, any college kid should read that book. Anybody should read it.
Or just graduated college kids should read that book.
Yeah.
Write that down, David.
Yeah.
Oh, that's you, David.
That's a great book.
Did you ever read QBQ?
No, I'm writing all these down because
that's another one. That's an easy one. Oh man.
Who wrote?
Oh boy, I knew you were going to ask me.
We'll get back.
It is
later.
like it's tiny.
Okay.
It's a quick read, but it is absolutely brilliant. So if there's one book, what's the one book on here?
Oh.
Boy, narrowing 20.
Gosh,
and can I share this? We have an email list.
Absolutely.
We'll share that.
I mean, I could add 20 more. I will say, I'm going to say endearingly that probably the least impactful at this point is an old book, and it's number 16, Positively Outrageous Service by T. Scott Gross. It's still great, but I would just say that I probably grew out of that to a degree because, man, you're asking me for one. Today, I'm going to tell you that what I learned about one that probably hits me. Oh, man, there's just so many.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's
tough to narrow it down.
I just can't. Like, we're doing the 6, that's a whole nother conversation. We're doing the 6 geniuses with Patrick Lencioni, and 6 type of working geniuses. It's changed my marriage. It's changed our business. So, and our teams. Yes, it's
amazing.
Really an eye opener. So right now I'm going to tell you, read the 6 Genius. That's going to be my favorite.
I will put this list on our Facebook page. So go to Facebook and like us, and you can go to 402insider.com and sign up, and I will put this in our email list. So
Sherri, it's been a pleasure having you here.
Absolutely. We got to have you back.
Much.
I love it.
You got to come back and talk to us because I didn't get to half of my questions.
Yeah, a lot of energy in this room. Similar stories.
And some of the energy good.